All right, I'll call this meeting to order. This meeting of the Ripon Area School District Board of Education has been properly noticed in accordance with the open meeting law and state statute 19.84 and related legal references. Our district vision: one of Wisconsin's finest school districts, fostering excellence for all through innovation. And before we do our first item, I just want to mention that there are refreshments over there. This is Principals Month and School Board Appreciation Week, so feel free to grab something at some point. And then we'd like to begin by recognizing last summer's Badger Boys and Badger Girls State representatives. So if you could step forward.
Right up there.
Right by the table.
That's perfect.
The camera's behind you guys.
Yeah, turn around and look at the camera.
And then you can start on either end, but if you could all just introduce yourselves.
Grace, you got it.
Okay, hi, I'm Grace.
I'm Ebony Curvis. I'm Madeline Lineover.
I'm Devin Albrecht.
Sam Cougar.
Good boy.
Noah Hansen.
And tell us a little bit about your experience.
Something I learned there was I learned about like government and how much
I just met so many new different cultures and different girls, and I learned so much about honestly what I want in a roommate and what I don't want in a roommate. Going to college, and it was just a really cool experience to get to know so many girls, and I'm staying in contact with several of them, so that's such a cool experience. Yeah.
I liked meeting all the new people and everything. It was really fun. Got to do a lot of fun things along with doing the government aspect of it.
I think the biggest thing for me was the first few days I went there. I thought it was a government camp, and then after
It was pretty bad.
and then it kind of changed, and then it was a lot about like personal growth. Like those few days after, there was a lot of personal growth, and like me and all the people in my city, we all really felt it, and that was a really cool experience.
Yeah, I would agree going off that. At first, the first couple of days were kind of rough. It was a little boring at first, but after that, when you really get into things and really start going out and getting out of your comfort zone and trying to like run for different positions and being in those situations, it really changes it. And like the big meetings where they have I don't even know how many guys there were, like 900 guys or however many it was, all of us in a big gym sweating as it's like super hot, no AC. It's rough, but the conversations that they have as a whole and just the energy there it's crazy. It's a good experience.
It was nice getting to know like a lot of other people from around this state and making like lifelong friends that I might see later down the road. And I also figured I don't want to go into government.
Except maybe school board someday.
Yeah, no, we learned a lot about how the government works and how much actually goes into it, and met a lot of people along the way.
Did any of you actually run for office? Anybody get elected to office?
I ran for city council, but other than that, not much.
I think out of the highest position, I was deputy sheriff, so that's like a sheriff within like the county for us. But I don't know if we had anything on like the higher level.
No, no one at the state level.
No.
I got elected to assembly.
Oh yeah.
Assembly?
Well, congratulations.
And did that make you feel like you weren't going to do that in real life afterwards?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Great. Anybody else have any comments or questions for them?
Where were the boys held this year?
Good Claire.
Eau Claire.
Okay.
Yeah. It was their first year doing it, so yeah.
Yeah, it is a really long week,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you do have an opportunity to learn So many different things.
Especially the big hill that we had to
Yeah.
climb up and down every day.
I went there, I remember that hill.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you all.
Yeah.
Like your shirt and things.
Certificates to hand out. It's got the girls' medal, just shake hands.
Yeah, you used to.
Yeah, like this room.
Great. You want to get yours?
Awesome, great job.
Thanks.
No, congratulations, though. You're so glad. All right, just made it, sure.
Now you get to speak all by yourself.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes. Great job.
They saved the speech for you, Sheridan, so just go on.
Yeah, introduce yourself if you would, and just tell us a little bit maybe about your experience, what you enjoyed or remember about the week.
So I'm Sheridan Zimmerman, and I actually had a lot of fun that week. I met a lot of really great friends. About 9 of us actually got together at my cottage actually afterwards, about a month after Badger Girls had ended. I was the municipal judge of my city, so that was fun. I got to hold a couple trials, so I really enjoyed that. I thought it was really entertaining. But overall, it was a great experience to really just learn about government on a more local scale, because obviously I feel like in school it's primarily like the federal government. We learn a lot about that. So this is a really great experience to just learn that there's so much to just local and state governments, and I actually had a great experience. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you for all your time.
Should have a little picture with
I'm
you.
so sorry. There is somebody signing up.
Okay.
I did.
All right, we have no written comments.
Thanks, guys.
And we have, I think we have no written comments, is that correct? And we have no public comments. So we'll move on. Is there anybody who would like the agenda changed in any way? If not, we will accept it as presented. And we'd like the announcement of contributions to the district.
Absolutely. Ripon Study Club donated $300 to the Student Needs Fund. And then Von Riesen Roper, Fortify Bank, SSM Health, Ripon High School Class of 1977, Ripon Community Church, and Lynn and Tim McCarthy each donated $250 or more to the Ripon Education Foundation. And Walsworth donated $2,500 as a gift for student literacy to be used for classroom libraries. And so we're very thankful for those donations and appreciate the opportunity to recognize them.
Thank you. So now that Sheridan is back, we'll give her a chance to report on what's going on in the high school.
So last week we had homecoming, which was a really big success. Everybody had a lot of fun. From my perspective, people had come up and talked to me saying that they had a great time playing all the activities that we had planned and that the dance was super fun. We actually had a lot of people stay the whole 3 hours, which typically doesn't happen. So there was, I think, at least 40 kids that stayed the whole time or were at least there at the very end. So that was pretty unusual. It was a lot of fun, and since then, Student Council has shifted towards focusing on their other areas of involvement, like fundraising. At the football game on Friday, we did a cookie sale, and all the proceeds to that are being donated to a breast cancer awareness foundation because it was the boys' pink out football night, so we did that in support. And coming up in November, we also have a blood drive that will be hosted here, so that's primarily what we're doing now.
questions? Any? All right.
Thanks for that report.
Great.
You knocked out to-
You are ready.
I know. Bravo, Karen. Yes, it's everywhere.
All right, we will move into business items. We have an action item looking for approval of the academic and career planning guide for 23-24. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Andy and Nicole. Is there any discussion? I have one question, if I remember correctly. It has to do with the leadership course. Is there any particular reason why Intro to Agriculture should be a prerequisite for the leadership course? It specifically says in the description that it has nothing to do with agriculture, and it seems to be partly in place of the fact that there's no longer the kind of old general program that there was encouraging leadership.
Yeah, I know that, I can come up too, I know that Jessica, the new ag teacher, that's currently one of the strands that she is teaching to her 8th grade course as well. Her request is that, obviously that is an area that she wants to focus on with her students, but again, it's not a prerequisite, or any student is able to take that course. Because that is a strand in her 8th grade agriculture course, she had asked that that be the prerequisite for her 8 courses. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Well, I can just speak from my connection with FFA. I mean, FFA is a pretty strong component of the agriculture program. A lot of students who are involved in agriculture are involved in FFA, and FFA really stresses the value of leadership. So it made sense to me hearing that she had wanted to do a leadership course, because I know how strong it is with the FFA aspect.
Well, it makes sense to me that she wants to do it. It's just that it seems to me that that's a course that all sorts of students might find valuable, but then you have to find 2 spots in your schedule, one each semester, to do something, whereas you might very well be able to just, lots more people might be able to take the leadership course if they didn't also have to set aside a part for Intro to Agriculture, which isn't, it's not a bad idea for them to take it, but it just seems like it's cutting down the number of people who might be able to take leadership. And since we don't have, it said something in here about we no longer offer Character Strong, I just wondered, obviously if that's the way that high school wants to go, but I just wanted to raise the question because I think it cuts the pool of students. And maybe practically speaking it doesn't, because if you could set it up to take 1 semester, you could also set up to take Intro to Ag the other semester. So anyway, that was my question. So I'll just throw it out there. It's not that I think the course is a bad idea or anything. I just thought it was maybe cutting down on the number of students who could take it.
Do you think that was part of her intention, or no? To streamline who is in the leadership class?
I don't think necessarily. And again, there are students that will only take, a semester rather than a whole year course, so they may take the leadership course on your own. Is it not listed that way that they can do the leadership course?
The way it's described, at least the way I read it, is the prerequisite. Maybe I misread it. I thought it had an Intro to Ag prerequisite course.
No, I don't see it here. Principles of leadership.
Because it was intentionally listed that way, that it would be offered to any student who wanted to take it. It's just that it's a semester-long course.
Right, but that's what the description came across, and that's why I was confused. But apparently I misread something, so then don't worry about it.
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. That's why I wasn't understanding the question.
If you see it in there, what you were looking.
Yeah, please point it out.
If you see
David, if
something
you
in there,
wanted
that's
to
not,
be clear for the
that's not
student.
the intention, Chrissy?
Right.
Okay, so if that is how it's listed, it would be adjusted.
It's not a problem. Okay. Then if there are no other questions, I will call for a vote. 6 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. It passes. The next item is actually to approve the new courses that we just were in the guide. Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Nate.
I'll second.
Again, thank you, Nicole. Any questions here?
I just have one question. Do we anticipate a lot of 0-hour students signing up for these other options now? Is that where the plan is to create like a 0-hour choir and that kind of thing?
We do, and just again, for students to be able to free up their elective options during the day, we do see a lot of participation with 0-hour. And again, it's different interests because, initially you might question, is there conflict or concern with students taking these various 0-hour courses, but, it seems to be different interests, so that doesn't really necessarily conflict. But again, just to free up their schedules a little bit more during the day to take some other electives.
I think that's great. Thank you.
Chrissy, this is where I saw the prerequisite.
Is it on this?
On the proposal
standard
here is where it has a
changes?
prerequisite. So.
I'll look at that, David, and get back to you on that.
Any other questions? All right. Call for a vote. And again, everybody present has voted for it. We now have to consider approval of the nurse office assistant job description. Is there a motion to put that on the floor?
So moved.
Thank you, Andy.
Second. Second.
Gary. Any comments or questions about the job description proposal? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. And this one passes 5103. And now we have to consider approval of the 22-23 tax levy and budget changes. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the potential tax levies as presented.
Motion by Gary. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Nicole? Jonah?
I just wanted to just kind of highlight some of the numbers. So the mill rate will be $8.15. That's what we had estimated in the summertime as we were talking about the referendum. It's $8.15 whether the referendum passes or not. And so there's kind of two different plans with this. We have $601,000 more in state aid. And that $601,000 is within the revenue limits, which have been frozen. So that additional state aid helps to push down the mill rate. We had huge property growth. We had $70 million of property growth. We know that we had the 13.9 TID district that was closing. We knew since about the middle of July that we had big property growth as well. So those are some highlights there. For the budget changes, just quickly I wanted to go through. Property taxes are higher within the general fund, and in order to make that mill rate balance, the general fund was a little bit higher, so we made the Fund 39 debt levy a little bit lower. We had originally talked about debt defeasance of $150,000, and so now currently for this year, if the referendum passed, it would be $60,000. Instead of $150,000. So we had that number built in to help us control the mill rate in the future, but it also helps us this year when we don't know exactly all these numbers, how they're going to square out. But anyways, we did get that $8.15 mill rate. Open enrollment revenue is higher than anticipated. Open enrollment expense is lower than originally budgeted. Per pupil aid is slightly higher, about $31,000 higher. ESSER 3. So as we get this additional revenue that's a little bit unexpected, and we have slightly lower expenses, mostly from open enrollment out was lower than anticipated. That allows us to spend less of ESSER 3, which was our plan, and we're trying to preserve as much of that as we can for future years. And so we just reduced our ESSER 3 revenue to match this additional revenue that we received. So, not sure if this is very clear, but do you have any questions?
Well, the main question that I think the taxpayers might want to understand is if the referendum doesn't pass, how does that affect them tax-wise versus how it affects our Fund 10 operational budget?
So what we proposed at the annual meeting is, and so that's what this plan is that if the $850,000 is not approved for general operations, that we would levy $850,000 for debt payments and pay off debt early. It would allow us to have the mill rate continue to decline slowly, but not have a huge drop with a rebound the following year. So we're trying to control that in a way that benefits everybody, that it's going down slowly over time. And so people won't see a bump, they wouldn't see a big drop this year and then a big bump next year. We're trying to keep it going down. And we're trying to imitate other communities that have done this. We've talked about, Cedarburg has done this very, very well. For many years, they've just controlled it and pushed it down. So that's kind of the goal.
That's on the tax side.
Yes.
For residents. What about Fund 10, our Fund 10 operational budget?
So if the referendum does not pass, we're going to have to use up all of ESSER 3 this year. And so we have ESSER 3 funds this year, but if we use them all up this year, we're going to have, big budget cuts next year. So that was the point of the referendum and the purpose of going out to ask voters.
That's very clear, I think. So thank you.
Thanks. Tom?
If the referendum fails, do you plan to use any fund balance to put towards the budget?
Hopefully not. I don't know that we would. I don't think we would have to this year. But you mean in the future or
this year?
This year. I don't think we would have to.
Probably not with the ESSER funds as long as we have those to use.
Yeah, I think we have enough.
The year after would be the challenging year.
Any other questions for Joan? Yes,
I would just say, nice job looking at all the different options. I think it's a good plan, and I like that you're reaching out to different communities and different districts and picking their brains as well. It's nice that you guys are sharing information.
Thank you.
I think we're doing that.
Are you ready to vote? All right, I'll call for the vote. And it passes. And we have to consider approval to hire professional staff. We are looking for an Odyssey math teacher for this year. And could I have a motion to approve the hiring of Renee Gold?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Tom.
Second that.
Thank you, Nate. Any questions, comments? Not, I'll call for a vote. And again, it passes 6-0-0-3. Next item is an information item, the staffing changes report. Any questions or comments about either of the two reports on certified staffing changes or classified?
There seemed to be a lot of moving. But
We ended up with them all full.
You got
so
it.
was
You
good.
got it.
For the most part, there's a few aides that we're looking for, and custodians, we typically have some turnover. Just down just one.
Oh.
We're good right now, yeah. And
that's fantastic.
you're down 3.
Yeah, it's not fantastic. But,
Okay. Is there a motion to, well, does anybody have anything to remove from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Nicole and Tom. And I call for the vote. Consent calendar is approved. So we'll move on to superintendent reports.
And legislative update, really the biggest thing, we have our new round of Neola policy updates. I just went through those with Steve. So we'll look to schedule a policy committee meeting, but it is not a heavy batch by any means. So just to let you know that right up front. So yeah. But Steve will be officially retiring from his retirement job. So we'll probably be working with someone new in the spring. As long as he trains him well, because it's a pretty smooth process. So.
All right. And we'll move on to teaching and learning reports. There were 3 of them. Well, one's the press release. Comments, questions? All right. Business-related reports. We have the enrollment report. Any comments or questions there? Kind of seen it, most of it. Just out of curiosity, does anybody have any idea? I know some students have come in after the 3rd Friday. Anybody have any idea how many students actually did show up after the 3rd Friday?
We only had one student who was absent on the 3rd Friday and then didn't return because of like an illness or something, extended illness.
Oh, okay.
So that student, when that student returns, we should be able to count them. In years past, we've had like a dozen that we're waiting for them to return. And some of them, we'll revise it like going into December. If they come back in December, we'll tell the state that they came back and get them added to our count. But right now, we're just waiting for one student. So yeah, they can be absent on the 3rd Friday. It doesn't hurt us as long as by the time we report it to the state, they come back, to the school. But
We have 4 new ones in October.
And you had one at the middle school? It's funny how often school districts seem to keep people until the 3rd Friday. All right. We have the general fund interim budget report. Any questions or comments about that? Anything we should know about that, Jonah, that we might not think of?
I didn't think there was anything surprising about the numbers as far as like the percentage of the budget that we've spent this year compared to the last prior years. It's very consistent with where we've been. There wasn't anything that stood out to me in either of the reports. The food service report is it's just not updated. We haven't received revenue from the state and we haven't paid Aramark, so it's even though it's from August, it's still not a very accurate picture of where we're at. We did, with food service, just wanted to mention something. We received $43,000 from the state for kind of pandemic-related supply chain issues. It's just like kind of a grant, I think, from the feds through the state. And we were projecting like a $70,000 deficit. So having that $43,000 is getting us closer to a balanced budget within the food service fund, even offering the free breakfast. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I can't think of anything else that's...
Okay. Questions from anybody about either of those two? food service or, all right. We have highlights from the different schools. Any comments or questions about those?
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed looking through them.
Yes, as long as you don't think they fall into a black hole,
Yeah.
we do look at them.
Yeah.
This month I will compliment the high school. I really love the homecoming pictures that were in the
It's
report.
a lot of fun. Kids participated and they did a real nice job.
Yep, thank you.
Well, that actually takes us all the way to advanced planning. We have a work session November 7th, 6 p.m. We'll figure out exactly how that will be done. And then it's not a work session, but we have a regular board meeting on November 21st, again here. So before I take a motion to adjourn the meeting, I'll just on behalf of the board thank all the principals for all the good you do.
It's a busy seat as of late. Yes.
And then I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second by Nate, second by Tom.
Sleep with the wheel.
Okay, you can vote now. And we are adjourned, so please have a good evening.